Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Blu-Roy Movies. It's Sunday morning once more and time for the weekly watches. Gosh, these Sundays seem to roll around quickly. Doesn't seem 5 minutes since I was here last week talking to you about what I watched. So, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for you guys. We'll find out, shall we? This week I've watched 6 titles, and not bad considering the Euros are on and I've been watching a lot of football. But I still managed to get in nearly my one a day. There's one day I just missed it, but you'll forgive me for that, I'm sure. So let's crack on and show you what I've watched during the week. I started off last Sunday with the year 2000's John Singleton directed Shaft, starring Samuel L. Jackson. It's been 20 odd years since I saw this last. Must have been 22, 23 years, something like that. And I didn't remember a lot of it. I remembered snitches and snatches of it. But I really dug this film. I thought it was really good. Which is unusual. Reading the reviews afterwards, there was a lot of people that didn't. But I thought Samuel L. Jackson's the perfect person to pick up the reins from Richard Roundtree as Shaft. He's got the smoothness as Shaft. Not quite the womanizer Shaft was in his films, but you can't have everything, eh, Samuel? Now, you get the impression that Samuel L's Shaft is a lot younger than Roundtree's, but in actual fact, there's only 6 years between them, and Roundtree does have a cameo appearance in this, which is nice to see. And we lost him recently, didn't we? Rest in peace, Richard. But yeah, but this was a great tale. It stars Samuel, as I say, as Shaft. Christian Bale as the bad guy, who's absolutely horrible in this. He plays a kid with a rich daddy, rich powerful businessman, and he's been spoiled all his life. You can tell he's an absolute piece of work. And in a race, hate crime, he kills this black guy in a bar, and it's all about Shaft bringing him to justice. Great stuff. Some great car chases in it. I really enjoyed it. I've got the 2019 one to watch next, with also Samuel. If it's anything like this, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy that as well. Yeah, recommend that. Could do with a Blu-ray release. Thank Larry for sending me over the DVD copy to watch. That's 4 out of the 5 Shaft films I watched recently. Next up was The Sentinels, starring Michael Douglas and Kiefer Sutherland, whose father we've sadly lost. Will be a great loss to the film world because he was such an incredible actor. Now, I've always said that Michael and Kiefer are poor imitations of their father acting-wise, and in this one, it pretty much carries on. I've got a rule where I watch a film, if I stick it on, I'm going to watch it till the end. But by golly, this one tested that rule for me. God, this was slow and boring. This is about Douglas, his character. He works on the security detail for the President of the United States, along with Kiefer Sutherland. He's a detective, and they used to be best mates, but there's been had a falling out over an alleged affair with Sutherland's wife. One of the other security men for the president, he dies, and Douglas is framed for that, and also implications that he's going to be making an attempt on the president's life. All of this time, Douglas is having an affair with the president's wife, who's played by the ever-lovely Kim Basinger. Yeah, really boring, really hard to get through. The only reason I bought this is because it's well out of print and it goes for quite a sum on eBay. But if you're looking for a copy, if you're struggling to sleep, CEX got about half a dozen copies in for £1, which plus your postage if you ain't close to a shop, be £4, which is a decent price for it. Yeah, definitely not one for me, but what I'll keep in the collection, like I say, it's out of print and I'll probably cash in on it when that price climbs even higher. Yes, very forgettable. And next up, as I mentioned last week, if you watch my weekly watches, Tuesdays I try and watch something gentle. And last week I was saying how the Cute Girl by Hao Xiaoshen fitted that bill. So I thought I'd go back into the box set of his first three films and watch the second film of his, which is called The Green Green Grass of Home. And yes, this was pretty much more of the same. It starred the same actor as in Cute Girl, and this is about he's a relief teacher in this school in another village in Taiwan, and it's just all about his life. It's one of those films where it's not a great deal of plot, it's just about the character, how he gets on with his job as a relief teacher, particularly with there's three little kids that are really naughty, always getting into mischief. They're nicknamed the Three Musketeers. And also he falls for one of his fellow teachers, which is complicated when his ex-girlfriend turns up on the scene. And also there's things like there's a local guy fishing by electrocuting the fish, and our main character is then trying to put that right, because as you can imagine that's not a good thing for the fish, because it's killing everybody's fishing supply. As in Cute Girl, with it having a village setting, it looks really beautiful, great cinematography, and yes, 2 for 2 on this series. Absolutely splendid films that I'd recommend. The third one and the last one on the box set is called The Boys from Fengguai. I think that's how you pronounce the village. Recommend anybody with any interest to pick that box set up. I think it's another one now, like a lot of the Masters of Cinema collection, which is out of print. Sadly, the collection's absolutely decimated now, which for a new person to start collecting it is nigh on impossible, I'm afraid. But there you go. Yep, that's the second one in that box set. Absolutely good stuff. Next up on one, I don't need to say much about this, Jurassic Park. I was in the mood for some dinosaurs. What could I say? So I stuck that on, and as ever, great time. Timeless classic. Spielberg masterpiece that still looks fantastic to this day. From the 90s to now. Was it 96, something like that? Yeah, absolutely beautiful. You've all seen it. You all know it. Just great stuff. Next up was one I bought from Amazon. They were selling them for only a couple of quid, and they were trading in for a fiver. So I bought a couple. I traded one, kept one, and I thought I'd give it a watch. The Integrity of Joseph Chambers, and it was a decent little film. I've not heard of most of the... Well, actually it's a small cast. Clayne Crawford, never heard of him. Who's that guy there? Jordana Brewster, I know from the Fast and Furious films. Not a lot else, I don't think. Michael Raymond James, he was good at it. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who I recognise the name. Was he in Watchmen, or am I barking up the wrong tree? But this is... It's sort of a post-apocalyptic film. It's hinted upon, but never said the reason, that something's gone on in the world and things aren't as they were, and there's a possibility that whatever it is that we don't know what happened could get worse, and if it does, then we're really going to be struggling. But this is about our main guy. He's moved up there to the mountains with his wife Jordana and his kid, and he's an insurance salesman, but because of what's going on in the world, he wants to be more self-sufficient and be able to provide for his family should he have to, and he wants to leave the world of insurance selling behind and learn how to hunt. And even though he's had a little experience in hunting, I mean, he even hasn't got a gun, he has to borrow a gun off his mate, he decides to go out on his own hunting, much to advice against him, with people telling him he's too inexperienced to do that. And needless to say, things go wrong. Now, I'm not going to say what goes wrong in case you want to watch this film, because it's well worth watching for yourself. But it takes some really interesting turns, ones that you're not going to expect. I quite enjoyed it. I think I liked the first half of it better when they were setting it up. It tended to drag the second half for me, but it's still a decent watch. Warren over at Goose's Movie, when I showed it in my pickups, he expressed an interest in this film because he'd seen another film by the director, The Killing of Two Lovers. The film was that he'd seen, and he was interested in seeing this one. It's probably not a film I'm going to watch again, so I'm going to send that along to Warren now so that he can give it a watch. Actually, that main character there has got a bit of a look at Warren with his moustache. Have you got a secret job there, Warren, you're not telling us about? Yeah, good film. Recommend it. The price has gone back up on it now. For £2 that I paid for it, was an absolute bargain. And when I'm, like I say, I'll gladly pass on to Warren for him now. And last up for the week, I was in the local charity shop and I saw this in the DVD section. The Password is Courage, starring Dirk Bogarde. Now, 50p for a Warner Archives edition. I picked it up mainly because I know they hold a bit of value, and I thought it might be worth something to maybe sell on. And looking at it, it goes for 20, 25 all day long on eBay. So I'm going to probably sell it, to be honest. But I thought I'd give it a watch first. Now, it's one of these Warner Archive releases, which were in America, which you very rarely see over here. I think they're like burn on demand. So if you can see, like, it's got a bluish hue to the discs, rewritable. I don't know how it worked, like whether you ordered it off their website, then they'd burn them then, or they'd burn a few to sell. No idea. Something I might have to look into. But this was a decent war film. It's 1962. It's from the year before The Great Escape. And I wouldn't be surprised if they looked at this make of The Great Escape and picked up some idea, because I'm very, very similar circumstances. They're set in a prisoner of war camp and they're tunnelling out just like in The Great Escape. They're using the slats off the bunk beds to shore up it like The Great Escape. They're using tins together to produce the pipeline to pump air in like The Great Escape. They tunnel out and they're short of the trees by a few yards like The Great Escape. So, yeah, a lot of similarities. So, like I say, I think they've maybe had one eye on this when they've been making The Great Escape. It's a bit more comedic than The Great Escape. I know that does have comedic. A bit like Stalag 17 meets The Great Escape, if you like. And I really enjoyed it. A good film, one that, again, we could do with a Blu-ray for. Dirk Bogarde's always fantastic in anything I've seen him in. Really enjoy him as an actor. Also, if you remember from The Great Escape, the guy with the moustache who jumps on his bunk and they've taken all the slats out so he falls all the way down, he's in this as well. They paint out the Germans as being toothless guards and all that, and clueless and easily malleable. Really good. I recommend that. You can watch it on eBay. I mean, this DVD quality wasn't the best, but on YouTube, the quality's even worse. But if you want to give it a watch, like I say, it's on YouTube, free to watch. Give it a go. So that's everything I've watched for the week. 6 titles. If you've liked what I've liked today, give us a thumbs up. Any comments on any of the films I've watched down below? Really love reading and talking to you guys about them. If you like what I've done today here, maybe think about subscribing so you can watch next week's waffling. Have a nice rest of your weekend. Good luck to England on Tuesday to qualifying. And good luck to Scotland. Goodbye.